Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another carving tutorial. Today we'll be carving an eagle head with some details in the wood on the back. Now these carvings are technically wall hangers, or you can lean them up on somewhere. People like them to put them in their garden, by their front doorway, stuff like that. And these particular carving is really good when you're wanting to fine-tune the detail on, say, an eagle's head, right? Getting the beak down properly and doing all the feathers, just working on fine detail. So in this carving, it's going to be an eagle with its head pointing up, mouth open, and it'll just come down into kind of like a crest point at the bottom, and then the rest of it is just going to be mock tree bark kind of looking thing. You got your center about right here. Bird's going to be cacawing this way. Ah! So good at drawing. Check that out. It's a freaking masterpiece. So once you've got your scribble on there, we're going to go ahead and cut it out to this part, down where the shoulders kind of crest. Sorry about the hood there, it's freezing out. Down to the crest here, right where it starts to pen in on the bottom. So everything else is going to kind of get cut out. Now remember, you're going to want it to look like a jagged tree. So cut on an upwards angle so you can get that jagged tree bark in a sense. I'll cut and I'll show you. That works. Square on, this is the shape I got. I mean, yours will hopefully look a little bit different than this, but at this point, this is my rough sketch of my head. Now remember, the beak is open, that's why it's so thick up here, and then this will eventually go back in. But your next step is just going to be angling it inward. So we're cutting on a point that's going to be going in. Alright, so this is my sketch, kind of. Looks like a bird. His head's not as angled up as I'd like it, but I mean, what can you really do, right? So this is the shape I'm going to go for. Now I'm going to work on chiseling this out with a combination of a chainsaw up on here, just going around the lines. I will open his mouth up with the chainsaw, and then I'll go down with the chainsaw once again and cut this little neck hook out here. And then I'll round everything off, and then I'll start to go into a little more depth on how to shape my beak, how to get under there, and then how I do my eye. Okay, for the beak, I'm going to be using my die grinder with the green saber bit, the teardrop shape, and I'm just going to slowly start digging out everything that kind of matters, and at the same time I'm going to use it to curve over my beak. Now, you get a little tricky at this point because it's a one-sided carving, and if you've ever carved an eagle, a full statue, you know, you get the triangle you start with, and then you kind of, you get the triangle for the beak, and then you kind of shape around that and get your feelings for where the beak will be. On this point, you don't really get that. You can go to the backside, cut it to make your triangle, so you can kind of shape it that way. Alright, so at this point I've got my mouth kind of dug out as much as I want it to be. Now, for my eye, what I usually do is I'll go in with my saber bit there, and I'll literally go in on this kind of an angle, just to give it the appearance that the eye is facing forward, because that's how eagles are. So I'll make a little nook here, and then I'll go carve the actual circle of the eye. So you can follow along as I carve, and then we're gonna just kind of give all the detail on the beak with the Dremel, which is, I think it's a line down here, goes back around the lip, and then there's another little line here, and then there's the nostril. So what I did with the eye there, I don't know, I think I was kind of in the way. I went in with the Dremel bit, I went in with the die grinder, and then I carved the eye. So if you look at him kind of straight on, you see his eye is facing forward, is not kind of jutting out of the side of his head, which I used to do quite often. Once you start learning how to make his eye look forward is when your eagles will really start to take shape in the head and detail department. Beak's a little thick, but you know, I like the way it's turned out. So I'm gonna go in with my finger sander now. I'm gonna level everything off, bring it down to the dimensions it should be. So this needs to be lower than this, and this needs to be lower than the head. Alright, now that we've got our beak sanded off, and for me, the beak or the face on any carving is usually the hardest for me. That's why I'll do it first and give it the most attention, because if something does go wrong, then I haven't done the whole rest of the carving, and then finally mess up or do something that I don't like on the last bit. So I put minimal work into it at this point, and all the work has gone into the beak. I'm happy with it, so now I'll move on to finish off the rest of the carving. So for the next portion, what we're going to do is we're going to create kind of a V down here that, if you look at the picture of an eagle, he kind of has that crest in the middle of his chest where his feathers all kind of go to a point. That's what we're going for down here. Now, it doesn't have to be that long because this one has quite a long neck. So right where we cut down at the bottom is the base of our eagle. So we're going to turn that into a point. And then we're going to use the chainsaw, or you can use a grinder if you feel more comfortable with that, just to give it a whole bunch of veins all the way down, which give it the impression that there's feathers there, right? Alright, so for the most part, the eagle and the head is done. So we're going to work on finishing the rest of the carving. Now what I'm going to do is, hold on, shaky. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my teardrop grinder, teardrop die grinder, and if you have it, you can do it. If you don't have the power gouge, I suggest using this. You're just going to make lines all the way down, relatively deep, and that gives the same effect as using the power gouge, which I will be using, and it's going to make the whole thing look kind of like bark. So I'm going to do that, quick time lapse, and we'll show you how she looks. So I've gone around now, done my bark look. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna burn everything on the round here to give it a bark texture, and hit it with a brush to take off all the heavy char. And then I'll go in and I'll sand the eagle to make him pop out and everything else kind of look a little duller. Alright, so the last step on this carving is just going to be giving it a quick sanding. Now we're not gonna touch any of the bark on this part. We're just going to be working solely on the eagle, just sanding down all those lines we put in there with the chainsaw, and this is going to cause the eagle to really pop out of the entire carving. I'll show you what I mean. What I'm going to be using is a grinder with I'm pretty sure it's just 50 grit sandpaper. Anything finer than that gums up too fast. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That was a little bit of a quicker tutorial today. If you have any comments or questions, there's an email down below where you can send all inquiries and I will get back to them. I usually respond on Friday. My Instagram link is also in the comments below. Next week, not sure what I'm going to be doing a tutorial for. Thanks for tuning in guys. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe because it does help me out. Alright, thanks for watching guys, and keep on carving.